All right, I got a few more phone calls I got to make, but before doing that, I wanted to thank all of you foreigners. Well, maybe not all of you. There were a lot of foreigners who were just as active in this shit as a lot of Americans. Of course, they're in other countries, so they can't get physically violent with me, but they could still threaten my life. However, the people who give a shit seem to all be foreigners. They say, I can't do nothing, I'm not in the same country. And those people are right. I mean, they can speak out, and that is what needs to happen. Nothing else is going to happen until people start speaking out. And it's been foreign people, people from places like New Zealand and Australia and the United Kingdom and Germany who are getting on here and speaking up. When people are saying things, spreading this same slander that was spread by Rob Gavigan and all of the web sleuths before and since him. These foreigners are the ones who took the time to look at the evidence and say, hey, actually, you guys are wrong. He's got proof. A lot of people did fucked up shit when I needed help, when they promised to help. And they did horrible shit. Many of these people are strung out on meth and heroin. I shouldn't have to go to these people for help. But you see what happens when I go to the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services for help. You see what happens when I go to the Nebraska State Patrol for help. You see what happens when I go to the Dual County Sheriff's Department for help. You also get to see same shit in Colorado. Except in Colorado, it'll hit the news. Here, nobody gives a shit. We had a sheriff that helped a woman get away with murder. He might have even been the man who pulled the trigger. But he got away with it. It wasn't all over the news. When Waylon Lowthai assaulted me, people were fine with it because it was a witch hunt, because of slander. And to this day, I have never, ever been allowed to face my accusers or show evidence. These people have repeatedly been able to harm me by denying me my constitutional rights. And you know what? You foreigners care more about our constitutional rights than most Americans. It's pathetic. Of course, most Americans could not tell you who the Secretary of State is. I wonder how many Britons could answer that question. Who's the Secretary of State of the United States? Americans are horrible. They're horrible to their own people. They're horrible to anybody who is different. All you foreign people, I want to thank you for what little you were able to do. You actually tried, at least. A lot of people promised that they were going to come here and help me in person. There's a guy named Daniel Apathy. Claims his name is Daniel Apathy, but like many of these people, there's only one friend on his site, and that's me. And now, is his real name Daniel Apathy? I don't know. I don't know the guy. I've never met him. I've never been to Scotland. But I know that the recording device that I used to record a lot of these crimes that were committed against me, as well as recording conversations with witnesses, Daniel Apathy bought that for me. And I believe on the receipt it says Daniel Apathy. So he must have had a registered credit card or gift card in order to do that, right? I'm actually asking because I don't know. Americans wasted my time. They were too busy chasing drugs, dick, or vagina, or booze. Many of the people who did harmful shit to me are alcoholics who decided that it was okay to do these things when they were drunk. A lot of these people asked me to do things when they were sober, and I did those things. I did what they asked. But then they got drunk and wanted to be an asshole to me for doing what they asked because they're too drunk to even remember what they asked you. Now I'm exhausted and I need to get some sleep, but I've been exhausted for 2 days. I've gotten a couple of naps in that time, but I need help. I don't need pretty words. Every time you tell someone pretty words, you're blowing them off. When someone is being abused and they come to you for help, they're coming to you for help stopping the abuse, not to hear your story time, not for your advice. But then again, you don't know what the hell's going on because you're too busy dispensing advice. All of these people want to dispense advice, but don't want to find out what's going on. They don't want to take the time to find out what's going on. They just want to be bossy. They want to feel powerful. Well, how's that working for you? I want to thank all of you foreign people who are standing up for my rights as best you can when obviously America's a nasty place that should have been nuked 3, 4, 5 decades ago. Americans are fine with it happening as long as it's not happening to them. And many of you foreign folks are well aware of that. I mean, look at how we bullied our allies into going to war in Iraq. Bullied them. And many of them stopped being our allies. They just stopped giving a shit. A lot of the ones who remained our allies were very non-committal. Like Spain sent less than 200 auxiliary troops. How many of you knew that Spanish troops were involved in any of this shit? Americans think that it's just Americans. Oh, look at America. We whooped Iraq's ass. We whooped Afghanistan's ass. Really? Really? We're pulling at Afghanistan. They whooped our asses for 20 years while we murdered their kids. When I say we, I'm not referring specifically to me because I don't kill people. When you are abused by law enforcement, you cannot go to any of these places without a guardian present, or you will not be heard. So Britney Spears was actually lucky to have those people who were ripping her off. Because if those people hadn't been there, she could have gone through a lot worse. The United States is a godless nation. None of our Christians actually believe in Jesus. They show by their actions that they don't believe in Jesus. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure they probably work for the other guy, except I don't believe in the other guy either. How can I believe in a loving God if a loving God can create a hell? And then when you hear the description of hell for eternity, God committed a sin by creating hell, and God deserves to roast in hell. You know, the guy who invented the guillotine lost his head to the guillotine. I think it's fair. He invented something for killing people, and then he was killed by it. That is such poetic justice. Now, I want you to imagine all the stuff that you've heard about hell. What would be worse? An eternity in hell or being raped here on earth? What would be worse? An eternity in hell or being beaten to death here on earth? So God created this loving God, created something that is worse than all of the sins that you have ever committed in your lifetime. He created a place that is worse than every sin that has ever been committed on this planet. And you want to pretend that your imaginary friend is loving when he creates shit like that. You're out of your fucking mind. Do as I say or I'll punish you. Do as I say or I'll punish you. That's the God that you're trying to sell us. Well, that doesn't sound like a loving God. That sounds like a tyrant. That sounds like a bully. That sounds like a devil. I said it. Christians have done more to disgust me with Christianity than anyone else. Christians persecute everyone, including other Christians, and then whine that they're being persecuted. Then we got this situation with BLM. And I know a lot of you foreign folks are totally down with BLM. I get why. I mean, most of you guys give more of a fuck about freedom than Americans do. Americans love having someone lower on the totem pole that they can take their shit out on. It's illegal to take it out on black people, and now people are starting to care about black people. So all these people have to take it out on the homeless. They can't take it out on the black people anymore. It's illegal. And people care that it's illegal. Whereas nobody cares about the homeless. You just assume the worst. And you do harmful things to innocent people over your assumptions and opinions. You heard that woman on the phone in the last conversation. All these people talking about opinions, opinions, opinions. No, they're facts. Just because you're not willing to look at the evidence does not mean that it's not a fact. Now, if I come up to you and I beat the shit out of you without leaving a bruise, people can pretend that you weren't assaulted. There's no evidence of it, so it's fine. If you don't bruise very easily, that's pretty easy to do. We need to put a stop to this. This is torture. If I'm going to be tortured for the rest of my life, I want it to be a short one. Obviously, I'm not worth hearing to any of these people. They humor me, is what it's called. Well, I'm not going to do anything, but I'll listen to them, I suppose. Go fuck yourselves. The whole fucking country can go fuck itself. But to Scotland, thank you for the decent folks there. To England, thank you for the decent folks there. To Wales, thank you to the decent folks there. I don't think I've spoken to anybody from Ireland yet, but I want to thank the folks from New Zealand and the folks from Australia. Sure, you got assholes there that harassed me just like a lot of other people did, but at least you've got some countrymen who are willing to stand up for what's right. Nobody in America is going to do that. They'll just watch because it's not happening to them.